How you doing,
Yeah,
James?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
I'm good. We haven't been here in a while.
It's been a while. It's been
It's
a
been a
while.
while.
We got some stuff to get off our chest here today.
Okay. You want to start?
So, one of the things that I've been coming across a lot lately, because obviously I talk to a lot of sellers on a daily basis. And what I've been experiencing a lot is when the seller comes in, they have an idea of what their property is worth. Now, that's not inherently the problem. The problem arises when they start getting feedback from, let's say, even three different parties, and they come up with numbers that don't necessarily make sense. And there's no diversity with the three parties in which they're getting the advice from, in that they're all agents. And
Exactly.
so when they get these numbers from the professionals in the industry, they don't keep the context of the agent's goal in mind. And the goal of that agent is to effectively get as much commission as they can. Of course, by the rule book, they would say that we have a fiduciary responsibility to our clients, all that good stuff. But personally, most of them, they just want the commission. That's the reality. And
That's
the last thing
100%.
Yes. And the last thing that I would say here is that they need to realize that when it comes to comping or determining the value of a property, it's not really a science. It's more of an art, which means that if you ask 10 different people what the value of the property is, they're going to give you possibly 10 different numbers because it's an art. It's not an exact science. And so one of the mistakes that we see from sellers is believing that they've came to a number based in objectivity or science. And then they end up listing the property at that number.
But one second,
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not necessarily agree with that. I think it's actually more like a science because, yeah, you might gonna have 10 different opinions and 10 different prices, but that's actually the problem that you
Yes.
get 10 different prices.
Yes.
It's a science. It's math. It's data. All right. Your house, to determine the value of your house, is literally by the data, comparable properties. There is no 10 different opinions or 10 different prices. Whoever create the opinions are friends, family,
Yes.
and agents.
Yes.
But the sellers, they need to do their own homework. They
Yes.
need to ask their agents based on what? Show me the comps. Show me why do you think the house worth like that? Now, I'm assuming if I'm a seller and I have a house, obviously I will try to get the maximum value possible, right?
If I can get $1 million for my $250,000 house, I would do it. Yes.
Exactly. Now, and I believe there is like a myth that if you want to sell the house, you need to contact the professionals, which does the agents, professionals, people that only finish 2-3 months of a course and got a certificate of agents, and they become the professionals, which they never purchased any house in their life before.
90%
And
of the
they
time,
need to
yes.
give advice to other sellers. This is literally unbelievable.
It's actually absurd when you word it that way.
Exactly.
And kind of jumping back to the comping properties, for example, or determining the value of a property. So, yes, I agree with that. It is a science, but it is a science or it is an art based in science, because the science comes in when let's say we get a property in right now, right? We're running the numbers. We have an idea of what it's worth based on the data. Now, where the art comes in is it's all circumstantial at the end of the day. And so now we need to dig into the seller's situation, the actual property a lot more. And once we have all of the relevant information, we use art to determine our final number. But yes, 80% of it is based in science. I would agree with that. And so this is why CMAs don't work, for example, a comparative market analysis. The reason they're inaccurate is because it's all science. There is no art in that. There is no human element to a CMA. And so when we get a CMA back, we're like, what? What do you mean?
So basically what you're trying to say is that the CMA, it's not necessarily gives you the truth amount of the
Yeah.
value, because you do need to take under consideration the condition of the property.
Yes.
And maybe, and you know that you talk a lot with sellers. They say, hey, my condition is 10 out of 10, is perfect. But when we take photos of the properties, we see that they never renovated the house. It's literally in the original condition. The roof needs to be replaced.
They think it's a 10 and it's a 5.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They live in the property. So yeah, everything is good. Maybe you just need to do some paint and clean up, and it's ready to be listed on the market. But let me tell you something about the market today, now, in the future, and also what happened in 2025, right? There's only pretty much 2 buyers currently in the market, right? You have the investors, they pretty much purchase 50% of the market, which we are part of them. And you have the homeowners, home buyers, but they only purchase fully renovated properties. And this is the key here. If your house is not a new build or not fully renovated, there is no point to list it on the market. You're not going to sell it. You're going to sit on the market for 6 months, 9 months, a year, and then you're going to call us back and, hey, can we get the offer that you offered us 6 months ago? Which back then you said it's a lowball, and you cursed us, and you thought, oh my God, those companies, they always lowball. We never lowball. Let's put it on the table. All our offers based on literally data and condition. Even yesterday, right, we have a scenario that one of the sellers said that she asked her friends and she got the opinion that her property worth $200,000, right? I'm sure that she forgot to mention that she need ASAP a new roof. Her property is in the original condition, and it's a manufactured home. It's not a single family. So let's say you have a property and you ask a friend, how much do you think it's worth? Yeah, easy 200. If you're gonna get it less, don't take the deal. Everybody is lowballing you. But you probably forgot to mention, hey, it's not a single family. It's a manufactured home. I need a new roof, and I haven't done anything in the property for since the original
15 years.
15 years. So when we come in and we give a lowball offer, yeah, we need to renovate your house, new roof, new kitchen, new flooring, new paint, new showers. Easy 60 to 70K on a small property, right? We need to pay the closing costs, and we need to pay the agents or holding costs. There is and our profit is literally, it's a minimal profit. We're not making millions or hundreds of thousands on a property.
Yes.
And sellers, unfortunately, they always, from some reason, I don't know why, they always think we're lowballing them, and they really need to do some homework.
Well, I think a part of it too is not realizing how much it costs to just do a transaction. You know, just doing a transaction, just fees and whatnot, is going to run you a lot of times over $50,000.
Easy.
Just closing costs, not commissions, just closing costs and escrow fees, and maybe there's some arrears. I mean, just closing on the property, like I said, it could cost, upwards of $50,000.
Easy. And when we say to sellers, hey, if you're going to list it on the market, you're going to pay easy 10% on closing costs, concessions, agent fees, and you actually don't know when you're going to sell your property. And you need to relocate, you need to move, you need to prepare your next step in life. And you trust an agent that literally, homeowners, do a favor to me. Ask your agent how many transactions they have done and try to get a list of some kind of a proof, because most of the agents that we know, they made 2, 3, 5 transactions in their entire career.
Well, here, this will put it into clear perspective. So right now, the last time I checked, there was about 2.1 agents for every active listing on the market. That means effectively half of the agents get no business. That's what that means.
We have more agents than sellers, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes no sense. And that actually reminds me of a situation where last year you were actually dealing with the seller. And the seller, they said no, they were going to take their time, and they thought the offer was a little low.
Let's use the word lowball.
Yeah,
that's
they
what
thought it was a lowball, exactly. In the past 2 months, that seller has come back. And we've been talking with the seller like almost every single day.
Let's put it the right word. The seller is begging from us to buy the house right
Yes.
now.
And effectively, we're not saying no, but it's pretty difficult to make it work at this point. And so it's almost a no. And she is pushing us to get the deal done. Where a year ago, I can't say it was the opposite because we weren't pushing her, but hey, we had an offer on the table. Let's go. We're ready. We're ready to
better
go.
offer than
It was
today, by the
a
way.
lot better, significantly better offer than she's presented with today. But there's a lot that goes into these transactions or in someone's personal situation. And due to her personal situation, the deal changed because there's about $60,000 in arrears that's been added since we last spoke.
Because she never paid the mortgage.
And so I say that to say, sellers, if you have a reasonable offer or deal on the table that you could take, it's probably best you take it. Because in the real estate market, when things change, it takes a while, if ever, to get back to where they were.
Yeah.
So it's very appropriate to just go ahead and take that offer. And just being objective here, she should have taken the offer a year ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I hate to say it. I hate to say it to the sellers, but I told you so.
Yeah, he told you so.
Oh, let's talk about the thing that sellers get in fake offers as well. Because we hear a lot, I get an offer and this. Come on, this is unreasonable offer.
I'm going to give an example here.
It's crazy.
I just had one today. So there was a seller. I've been talking with this guy for a couple of months now. And today he just told me that he had an offer. So the property is worth about $410, fully renovated, which obviously this is not. It needs a full renovation. He told me he had an offer at $340,000 net, all cash, quick closing. Now, I will explain why that is highly unreasonable. Because if the property is worth $410, fully renovated, that's what the ARV after repair value is. You guys will probably hear this term a lot if you're talking to other investors. And so we're looking at $410,000 just in closing costs alone. A quick estimate, you're looking at $36,000 to $38,000 in closing costs. That brings you down to, if we're coming from easy numbers, $400. That brings you down to $365. The house needs about $55,000 in work at a minimum, and that's like making it rentable. A flip, $75,000 to $80,000. It's going to be a big one. So that brings us down to, let's just use 50 for easy numbers and keep it conservative. That brings us down to $315. So if we're at $315, not including holding costs, in what universe would the investor actually be able to make that deal work? The answer is none. And so it's most likely coming from someone who literally has no clue what they're talking about and they've never done a real estate deal in their life. Or the other option is just simply someone blowing smoke.
Exactly. And again, sellers, you need to do your homework. So if you receive an offer from an investor, ask, okay, what other projects have you done before? Ask to get a list of projects. We have done about 100 transactions last year.
Yep.
We can show a full portfolio of what we have done. When a seller gets an offer and it's too good to be truth, before you say yes and waste your time and making assumptions or, planning your next step in life, wait. Ask to get some proof. First of all, a real proof of funds. That's one. Ask recommendations from title companies and ask to see some kind of a portfolio, some work that this investor have done before. Otherwise, it's not a real investor.
Yes. Or you can ask for a very quick EMD or EMD immediately with a very quick due diligence. That is a way to protect sellers as well, especially when they're too good to be true. Now, when we are speaking with sellers and they tell us that they have an offer and it's reasonable and they're just higher, but they're reasonable, what do we say? Just go ahead and take the offer. Take it. You don't have to do any due diligence. That makes sense. Go ahead, take it and run. But if they're coming in $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 higher than the next highest, it's probably a red flag.
Correct. Yes.
So don't do it.
Now, another thing that I think we should talk, because again, the market is very slow. We have a lot of sellers that bought their property like 2, 3, 4 years ago
Mhm.
when the market was in the top. The
Highest interest rates.
exactly, the overpriced for their properties,
Mhm.
and now they need to sell.
Mhm.
They have no equity. They have high interest rate. So what does it mean? If they're gonna list it on the market with the agent, with the traditional sell, and blah blah blah, they're gonna actually lose money. They're gonna need to bring money from their pocket to the table. Why would you do that? So what's the solution, James?
You're hitting all the points right now because literally today I just had that experience in Jacksonville, Florida. There was the house is worth it's a new built in 2020, end of 2023 is when it was built, and it was closed on in 2024. And so the house maybe was worth more. I didn't look at the history, but what the comps show in the last 6 months, 340 pretty much is what we're looking at in terms of selling at the highest point if it were a flip, right? The amount of debt on this property totals $395,000.
Oh wow.
Yeah, $395,000 with a high interest rate, and so yes, he's kind of stuck. Even if he lists the property, he's for sure going to have to bring a good amount of cash to the closing table for one. We can't do a deal in any regard, not a sub two, not a cash offer, not our equity protection program. We can't do anything because he made a bad purchase.
Very
Now,
bad.
that's an extreme case. If the debt balance wasn't so high, maybe we could work out something creative with him, right? Because that would literally be his only option, or just do a short sale.
But I think we need to talk about that sellers has to be open to creative ways right now because they have no choice. If they're not
Yeah.
gonna be if they're not gonna accept the creative ways like seller finance, sub two,
Mhm.
um, um,
Equity protection.
equity
Yeah.
protection programs, they're actually gonna lose money. So
No, you literally have to accept it in a lot of these cases. I mean, I'm sorry to say it that way, but you have to accept it. Do you
and
know how
this
many?
is one, by the way, this is funny. We had one seller that maybe just called us or say something. Hey, I wanted the cash offer, and you went to creative way right away. Remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. Obviously, because our cash offer will put you in a situation where you're gonna have to bring money
Yep.
from at closing.
Yep.
We don't want that.
Yeah.
So we offer you a way better alternative.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of saying, "Oh wow, you saved me," they're actually complaining about that.
Yeah. No.
That's-
And this is why I say it's all circumstantial. So this is actually good. So here's the thing. When you leave an inquiry for a cash offer, that simply does not mean at all that a cash offer would work for you. When I say it's all circumstantial, it truly depends on your situation. If you have such a high debt balance to where you're going to bring cash to the closing table, why would we want you to pay money to work with us? We want to do a deal where you walk away with money, ideally.
We're always trying to make a win-win situation.
Exactly.
And that's our goal. And if we go to creative, it means that's the best solution for the seller. We are not trying, we don't like it ourselves,
Yeah.
by the way, but sometimes there is no choice.
There's no choice. And so to cap that off, when you leave an inquiry and you finally speak with us, the question maybe should be changed from what is your cash offer to what can you do for me?
Exactly. And another thing that, because I see that 2026 will be a lot of creative deals.
Mm-hmm.
Agents, they need to educate themselves about creative deals. We hear so many agents and brokers that say, "Oh, what is sub two? What is
Makes no sense.
novation, or what is seller finance?" They never done those transactions, and the first thing they say, "No, seller will not accept it." But this is the best solution for the seller. So those agents, they need to be educated. Otherwise, they sabotage to their own clients.
Yes, I agree 100%. And if you don't understand multiple exits or the creative side of real estate, I would say that you are not doing your fiduciary duty as an agent to your client, because you are uneducated and you are missing opportunities for them. And some of these listings, sometimes they're foreclosures. Sometimes it's just distress in terms of the seller not being able to keep up with the monthly payment, and their debt is just so high that, they're going to have to bring cash to the closing table if they close with an agent on the market. But if that agent understood creative, if he understood what a sub 2 is, he could go out and proactively seek a sub 2 solution that would render the seller in a better position, effectively.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have so many scenarios that the sellers already agreed to this creative finance, and then their agents say, no, it's not good. And then we need to work on the agent to make them understand that.
Yeah.
What are you trying to do here? I mean, are you trying to sabotage the life of your seller? What's going on?
Which in some cases is impossible to educate them on that. Guys, loosen up a little bit.
They have so much ego, man. There's so much ego. They finish the small course for what, 2-3 weeks, 2 months, I don't know. And they have a certificate and they think they know everything about real estate. But again, my complaint is to the sellers. Do your homework before you choose an agent. You want to go with an agent? I don't think it's smart unless you have fully renovated house. But the reality is this. 50% of the purchases are going from investors. We're the only one that's buying right now. So just work with us. We're always trying to come up with a fair solution. It's either going to be a cash or some kind of a creative, but it's always going to be 99% of the time way better than just list it on the market and wait a year until you'll get some kind of lowball as well.
Yeah. So I guess we should to cap this off, I should say. I think that sellers need to understand that when you're submitting inquiries for cash offers, you probably won't get a cash offer. Maybe, but you probably won't. And if you don't be upset. Explore other options because maybe it's just simply not best for you. And
or maybe just ask why. Instead of just being upset and write bad things online, just ask why. We're always here to explain you why. And trust me, once we explain you why cash offer doesn't make sense to you, 99.9% you would agree with us. So,
hey, in a lot of cases, sellers walk away with more money on a creative deal as well.
Exactly.
Even if they thought that, we had a seller last week that we went under contract with. She thought she was going to have to bring $11,000 to the closing table before she talked to us. After our conversation, she's walking away with $5,000. It's not a ton, but hey, that is significantly better than paying $11,000.
Yes,
so.
Yes. And again, like I said before, we're going to see it a lot this year. So sellers, you need to be prepared. Agents, you need to educate yourself. And let's go.
So if you're selling, click the link, leave an inquiry, and we'll talk soon.